Yeah, and while the music is playing, we're back with Dance Jams, another episode of our podcast. And today we're going to talk about what is or should be in our dance bag or in your dance bag. But of course, we would never do that without my good friend, Ton Greten. Let me see if he is there.
Hey,
Hey,
Sean, I'm there. Nice
hey,
to see you and hear
nice
you.
to, nice to see you and hear you too. Did you hear what we are going to talk about today?
Yeah, what we take in our dance bag.
Yeah, what
So,
is or should be in your or in our dance bag. I think that's kind of an interesting thing to do. Maybe a little bit silly, but I think it's very necessary.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, where shall we start?
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
The
You know,
beginning of what? Yes, because you have different ones who are dancing, like beginner in ballroom and Latin. So they
mhm,
have different equipment in their bag than
uh-huh,
if you are a beginner of hip hop or advanced professional ballroom dancer and ballet dancer. So each dance form has his own trainings bag, and in that bag, it's very important that the personal things what you need are in it. Yes, as beginner, I would say ask first your teacher. What would you say? What would you say, Sean?
yeah. If you mean and first of all, of course, it's very much so. According to you, it's depending on two different things: whether you're a beginner dancer and what style of dancing you do, right? So as a beginner, it's always good to ask your teacher, I would say, and then you start to add a couple of more personal things to it. But yeah, that's a way to look at it. Another way to look at it is actually following your own method, dance jams. It's what I was thinking about, preparing this dance podcast. We could go saying, hey, we make a distinction between dance styles and beginners and advanced, but then we also work from our 10 body parts. What do we put on our feet? What do we put on our legs? What do we put on our body? And maybe even what do we put on our heads? I thought that was kind of an interesting way of looking at it as well.
Yeah, very interesting, Sean.
So dancing, we very often quickly immediately think about, what do we put on our feet? Also known
Mhm,
as shoes. But, there are socks, or do you need socks? If we do ballet, there is actually a little bit more than just shoes and socks, right? We can have
mhm.
tape on our feet, we can have all kind of things. All right, where would you
Yes.
start if it comes to feet?
I think the shoes are very important, very, because when you are on the floor where it's very slippery,
Hmm.
you take socks or shoes what has a little bit more grip, like a
Hmm.
rubber. Sometimes it's also leather on it, and
Yeah.
how you can clean the leather and the shoes. Then also there's a difference in the winter or summertime. So
Hmm.
when you are in the winter on socks, then you need more thicker socks, and in the summer maybe thinner. So also the weather is important, what you put on your feet, and the grip what you have. So the best is if you are a beginner, even then I would take shoe with you when you have gymnastic shoes or sneakers and they have a lot of grip, then it's um, obvious that it's not so healthy for your joints and your muscles. So even that is also important. The first lesson, okay, I can imagine when you never did this, then I would ask the teacher. And what I would give as advice, take several shoes with you. And when you don't have them, you can buy them in a dance shop and you get advice there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is of course very much depending on a few things: the level of dancing, the surface you dance on. You know, dance you do you dance inside or outside? Most people dance inside, so that's a little bit easier, but it's absolutely not 100% truth, right? You know, we have actually dance lessons outside here in the summer, which is quite interesting. Which of course, again, surface, and then. And then it's of course the dance style. I remember, Ton, maybe you had the same experience when I first came to dance lesson, and then on the Saturday evening, I immediately went to some sort of a what we call the dance evening or whatever you call that. And I saw all these people coming in with these crazy little dance bags. Well, I didn't know they were dance bags, but there were bags, and everyone was changing their shoes. And I think, like, I was thinking, and it was ballroom dancing, by the way. So I was thinking, like, what a crazy people! They are all changing their shoes. But later on,
Yes.
of course, I started to understand and the logic of it as well. You know, if you play basketball, you would put on basketball shoes, shoes that fits the style of the sport that you are doing. So why
Yes.
would that not be true for dancing as well? Now, do you some beginners think, like, I'm a beginner, so I let me not immediately start the most expensive shoes, which I do understand, but do also understand, in my opinion, that it's the health of your body, right? And because
Yes.
you're a beginner does not mean that you have to treat your body less less well as an advanced dancer. So that's where your dance teacher or a good dance shop can give you a little bit of advice that you might not immediately go to the top level shoes, but you certainly don't want to keep buy very cheap shoes, because they typically are way worse for your feet than the more expensive.
Yes.
It's not always true, but it's kind of a general rule, I would say. What do you say, Tom?
Um, yeah, absolutely. And there is something else also very, very important,
Hmm.
Sean.
Yeah.
Underestimated is the trainings bag, because this is your fundament for the hour that you will have fun in your lessons.
Hmm.
And if you are in if you want to be independent, start with your trainings bag and try to get that in what you need. So ask your teacher. This is the most important person. If you are a beginner, your trainings bag is less in it. If you are advanced dancer, definitely you need to have your trainings back, how we say, correct. And correct means for your personal self that you are independent, but also if you need tissues and you don't have them, what you must do, you go to the toilet and take something from the paper roll, or you ask some other dancer. And this is actually what you must not do, in my opinion. It goes much faster when you have it with you. The same with the paracetamol tablets or the knee protectors. Sometimes I go to a training, I make a new choreography for contemporary or for a Latin show or for breakdance. And then we go on the knees many times, like 30, 40 times, and you have no protections. Um, After 10 times, it hurts so much. And it's also not an investment for the long term for your joints. So be prepared. And the most dancers, sorry guys, that's a judgment. You are not prepared, and maybe some of you, but the most not. That's what my experience of all these years. And when I start with the trainings bag, they look like, why we start with the trainings bag? Yes, from there you start your training in your dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it's so important and why we make this podcast now.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a little bit of a weird thing in dancing that because like you, I did several sports in my life. Dancing was definitely not the only one. And in other sports, it's actually almost not an issue, right? There are always one or two people who don't have their trainings back or that their their sports bag in order, but most athletes do, and it's very normal. If you're a runner, you have your running shoes, you have all these things that you need. It's almost a non-issue. It's strangely enough with dance, and maybe a little bit more specifically in the ballroom world, it's kind of a weird thing because we typically do it in clothing that looks normal, has nothing to do with sports. I think that's one of the things that comes into it where people kind of don't immediately see it as a sport where you sweat, where you use your physique a lot. So I think that's one of the reasons why that is a little bit depending on the style, but in general we already talked about shoes. Always have dry socks with you. I would say multiple pair, not one pair extra,
Yes.
but you have
Yes.
specifically if you dance more than an hour, it's not only for freshness, but it's definitely also for health for your skin, because you're typically in closed shoes, and then you can work up with your whole attire. I would say make sure that you have spare clothes, completely do. And then Ton mentioned a couple of things like tissues. Typically when you sweat, you might get a little bit of snotty nose. It sounds a little bit dirty, but it's more dirty when you do when you do it like this and then you touch your partner again,
Mm.
which actually people you might laugh about it, right? If you hear this, but it actually is more common than you think when we see that, right, Tom? It's like that.
Yes. But
It's
there
go
are
ahead.
so simple things what you need in your bag, Sean, what you
Yeah,
mentioned already.
yeah.
Even if you have tablets with you, like paracetamol,
Mm-hmm.
that's if you have to ask it, you are not independent.
Well,
So if you have it with you, you
yeah,
have the control. A small toilet bag I would put in with plasters for the I don't know what
yeah.
you
Band-aid.
call.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
band-aid. You have safety pins.
safety pins. Yes.
Headache tablets. You have small bandages if you want to. All these kind of things, yeah, are in there. I always have toothbrush and toothpaste and a little bit of mouthwater in there.
Yeah,
So those are for us. I think pretty standard things to have in there.
yeah, deodorant, perfume,
Yep,
maybe.
deodorant
Mm.
for most people that is kind of really important.
Yes,
And if you
uh,
have some eau de toilette or some perfume, that is actually not. Don't use it excessively, but that's not a bad idea either, right? It is. It is. We sweat a lot. We are enclosed, often in very closed rooms. Just within a few minutes, you can already smell people. That is just how it
yes.
is.
I would take everything when I'm more advanced in a
Mm-hmm.
contemporary or ballet or
Mm-hmm.
in the other dance form. I would take also my own gym mat with me and
No,
for the hygiene because it's more clean when you have your own gym
Matt.
mat.
Yeah.
And what I would take more protections for the ankles, for the knee, for my wrist.
Yeah.
It's very important if you have some injuries that you are be prepared. Also, it sounds stupid, but I when I was in training, I had also a massage gun with me, and it helped me a lot with my muscles when they are tight or some not loose enough. I could use my small massage gun. You have them between 10 euro and a few hundred euros, but all do the same work. Less or
Yeah.
more. Less
Yeah.
or more. Yes.
Yeah, those are, of course, a little bit more advanced things. Towel is, of course,
Yeah,
a
towel.
very common
Yes.
thing
Yes.
that people don't have. And please take it all with you when you're done. So before you go to the studio, check your bag before you go. But also when you leave the studio, please also check if you have everything with you because it's kind of weird and how often we find stuff. I don't know how people walk away with one shoe, street shoe, and but we see that they then typically walk out with their dance shoes outdoors or something like that. Now, if you are a lady, of course, your normal hygiene stuff is not. I mean, it's common. I'm just saying it just to be complete. right? It's literally more, as Ton say, the more you have to borrow from someone else when you need it, the more dependent you become of someone else, the more independent you can be, the better it is for you, and maybe you can help out someone else too. That's always very nice as well. Yeah, what else thing? What other things could we think of, Ton? Uh,
Um, yeah, you have your pen, paper when you have to
yes,
make
very
notice,
important.
or your phone and put it
Yeah.
in the notice. Um, Important. Also, your phone with you, and if you have to practice your own solo dance
Hmm.
or with a duo, or and other people are also practice. I would do wireless AirPods or
But
something like that,
earbuds, yeah. Yeah.
earbuds and your phone, and then you're also independent because you not need the equipment around you, and you can also listen this with two persons. So
Yeah.
it's important that each dancer make his personal trainees bag in the beginning of the season, and don't think it would be weird, but think what you really need, where you feel happy, and that you have everything with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
better have it with you and you not need it, but when you need it, you have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I make this category that, you have the things that you definitely need, like shoes and socks and stuff like that. And you have your little emergency kit, right? Things that you need when something goes wrong, like band-aids and stuff like that. Hopefully you never need them, but it's always good to have them when you need them. Yeah. Ton also mentioned pen and paper, so to speak, for taking your notes. I think it's incredibly important. To my amazement, specifically if we give private lessons or group lessons, not the practice evenings, but I see so very little people taking notes, which I almost not understand, to be honest. Whether you take them on the phone or on your own pen and paper, that's all up to you. You learn, and we can do a whole podcast on that. We learn, at least 4 times faster. I can prove that actually, if you take notes. Even if you don't go and read them ever again, just taking notes make you watch faster. And then as a repeat for Tom, I hear that a lot when people just play their music loudly on their phone,
Oh no,
while other people,
I
and that
hate that.
we
I
that's
hate that.
yeah,
Sorry,
that's
sir.
that's that's
Sorry, Sean.
absolutely now not forbidden, I would say, because we're not the police, but that is not
It's not done.
courteous. But it's not done. So either you have your earbuds in, or you ask if you can play the music centrally. But then that's not an easy thing to do, of course, in practice session. But better is to have your own earbuds. And nowadays you can actually sync them with your partner. If you have partner dancing, that would be awesome, and then you don't
Yes.
have to, again, you don't, not
Sean,
depending of someone else.
Sean, I have a
Mm-hmm.
question.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe a quite difficult one, I would say, probably, or challenging one. That's more
Mm-hmm.
positive. The 5 things what you would take in your bag, your own bag. Which
Mm.
5 this would be
For me, well,
for yourself? Yes,
for myself,
for me
or
could
no,
be different, but
for
at least 5 what you need.
no, for me, for sure, of course, is my dance shoes. That's the number one thing, because it's all stops there most of the time. And then for me, it's always, I'm very aware of being clean and dry and smell good. So those were my 5 things that I would look for if
5?
I
That
can only take
was
five
2.
things.
So,
Hmm?
yeah, 5. No, no, 5. That was 2 now.
Well,
Want to smell good?
if you
You
call
choose.
clothes too, then my hygienic stuff like deodorant, mouthwater, that would be then 3. And then I would definitely look for my knee bands, just because of the small injury. So there would be 4, and then last but not least is maybe my headache tablets. So that would be 5, because I typically use music from the studio because I'm a dance teacher. So maybe that should be in the 5 as well. Okay, what about
Yeah.
you, Don?
I would take my water with me
Mm-hmm.
in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my dancing shoes
Of
when I
course.
know the room. then I have the same always. When I go to a different room, I take two pairs.
Mm-hmm.
One slippery and one more with rubber for more grip. So this is two. Deodorant and say mouth water and the perfume. That would be three. I would take tissues definitely with me. This is four. Yes, and then I would take my phone with me with my earbuds.
Okay.
That's five
Okay. Cool.
because all my music is also there. But with my phone, I would also take a power bank
Mm-hmm.
and my wireless earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I charge my phone and my um, power bank already home that they are full, not that I go and they are empty.
Yeah.
And the extra a plug in to charge it also. So then
Yeah.
I'm safe. So these are my five things.
Cool. Cool. What about your dry clothes? What
Sorry,
about,
Sean.
said, what about your dry clothes?
Yeah, but I said five. Of course, I
I
would do
know.
my dry. I would do my dry clothes,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
towel, a
Yeah.
gymnastic,
Of course. I'm
etc.,
just messing.
etc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, so guys, so yeah, make your it's not that complicated if you think about it, but the thing is, people don't think about it. I definitely think we should take it in the next version of Gem. You know, the things that we need when we go on the dance floor, right? So I'm just making promotion of Tom's book, Gem. You know, dance from a different perspective. But these are probably the things that we should add there too, depending
In
on
the book,
your.
yes, I
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
have it,
No,
and
no,
it
we
is
don't have
on.
it yet, but
Yes, yes,
we
and it's
should.
Yes, and it's underestimated. This that most people think, okay, I'm
Yeah,
complete, but I would take it more serious
yeah,
if you
absolutely.
are more an advanced dancer
Yeah,
and really look to it what you need.
yeah.
And
And then, yeah, the back itself. Sorry that I interrupted you, but the back itself is important too. So I see some people coming in with plastic bags, and it could be even a good-looking bag. But do know that if your clothes are a little bit moist from sweat and stuff like that, and the bag cannot breathe, it's not only start to smell, but it's just bad for your equipment. It's bad for your shoes. It's bad for a lot of things. If you are a ballroom dancer like I am, stuff like that, you also want to have some equipment to take care of the sole of your shoes. If depends on the studio, but depends also on your preference. That could be oil or Nivea or Navia, however you express, say that in English, and then a little brush as well. So those are the things that we can think of. Now, if we mention that, I'm sure you people that are listening to our podcast, and I hope there are many, by the way, they would say, yeah, 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 I do that, I do that. But we would never, Tom and I would never have brought this up if our experience would not be such that actually people actually don't think about that. And typically at the beginning of the season, it's all complete because we talked about it. But as long when we go a little bit further in the season, things starts to miss. And I cannot, if I get $1 for every time someone says to me, I forgot my dance shoes, I will be a very rich man. Seriously true. Hello, you're on mute, Tom.
Sean,
Yeah.
how they can forget that? That probably they are beginners then, or something like that, or is this
I don't
already a
know.
judgment from me?
Maybe it's a judgment. I mean, everything is possible. I would not say that I didn't walk out once in a while with my whole dance back, because my mind was distracted. So things could happen, obviously, but it shouldn't. And I remember once we were very beginner competitors, and my dance partner forgot her dance shoes.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
borrowed the dance shoes, Tom, from another couple, which is kind of disgusting if you think about it. But anyhow,
Okay. Okay.
we borrowed the dance shoes. We won the competition, and that couple became second. So that girl was joking, like, "Man, if I didn't borrow my shoes to you, we would have been first."
Yeah.
It's a true
Yeah.
story. It's a true story.
But maybe she wasn't ahead in the with his with her
Her
head in the clouds,
in the clouds.
and maybe she was in love or something like that, and maybe
It's all possible.
you
Yeah.
never know what it
Yeah.
was. But how you can forget your dance shoes?
Yeah,
It's
you can.
like you go
Mm.
to football, you forget your football shoes. You go
Yeah,
to
it's
tennis, you forget your
yeah.
tennis shoes.
Yeah,
How is
we
it
can
possible?
definitely talk a little bit about competitive bags too, but I have extra shoelace in there for guys, because if they
Yes,
break. So I do have that. I do have needles and thread with me, just if little repairs need to happen, that you have that, and a safety pin can work too. But all these kind of little things, they can make life so much easier. To in your life when something goes wrong, and if it comes to mental coaching, we get very nervous already because we need to go into the in the on the competition floor, and if you have all these things prepared, it makes you just more calm. Most of the
yes,
time you don't need
yes.
it, but when you need it, you get in panic, and that's when the things start to happen, and you could prevent a lot of these things already.
Even the parents could help with that one. If
Yeah, it's
the
for
daughter
sure.
goes to dancing and
Yep.
brings them to dancing, and they forgot to put something in the bag for the
Yeah.
monthly period,
Mm-hmm.
or the girl forgot
Yeah,
it,
for sure.
you again, um,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to ask other people that they can help you.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
this is not what we want, actually. We want that you get independent. So it starts with your trainings back, and try to think on the small things, even when you think it's not important. It could be important. So if you start with the back, this is what I do. Yesterday, my students came, and I put all this material, what I have in my bag, I put
Hmm.
on one line.
Okay, that's nice. That's a
And,
good idea.
and the parents, they look to it, and the dancers, oh, this is a lot. We need everything. I said, no, not everything, but this, this, and this is really important, and this, and this, and this is also important. We have like a tool, like a turning board.
Hmm.
So everybody in my class have a turning board.
Hmm.
I have an elastic um, in my lessons, so everybody has his own elastic.
Hmm.
Then they can do the exercise with them. And also with the turning board, we can practice the balance on it, and we have more exercise than only turning. So this is really really nice, and everybody has his own equipment. I have them also in the studio, but I want that they get independent. When I'm not there and the studio is not there,
Hmm.
and they travel somewhere, they have it by themselves.
Yeah, so definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's important. And there might be smaller personal things in there that you want as well, which is great as well. It's actually not that much if you really think about it.
You know,
And
a
it's
massage ball you can also have for the feet, or
yeah.
for the problem when you have on your back. You can lie on it and then roll to it and make
Hmm.
it free more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and that,
yeah.
that helps.
Definitely. And if you are one of those dancers that once in a while go to, these full day workshops, then definitely think also a little bit about food, your power bars, if you want that, what your preference is, but something, if you get a little sugar low, which can happen because you work hard and you sweat a lot. So to have that, and then of course water is most of the time allowed in most dance studios, but you have to check a little bit what is allowed or not, because some dance studios say you can only drink from what we have to offer. But in general, water bottles now are mostly accepted
Ah,
to bring.
yes.
Yeah.
I think for the young people it is a
Mhm.
challenge because they are not used to plan.
Yeah.
And if the teacher learn this to them or open the doors, and that he would say this is and this and this and this is important. So it starts actually also with the teacher. You
Hmm.
cannot You can ask the teacher, but also the teacher can do like an introduction in the beginning of the season, and they do it like me. They put all this stuff on the floor. This is what we need, and this is what will help you in the future for your training.
Yeah.
And make a list one time. Maybe it costs you a few hours to, to make pictures, make a PowerPoint presentation, and the year after you can use it again. And then you adjust something in the list, and the year after you can use it again. And I don't know why this is not happening, um,
Not
mostly.
enough, at least.
Not
Yeah,
enough. Yes,
yeah,
not enough,
no,
Sean.
no, no.
Yes.
Well, I think, but it's just speculation. I don't know for sure. I think in other sports, like I said, it is a little bit more common than in dance. It's not always specifically. Maybe, well, in ballet I don't see that less. People know what to bring when they go to a ballet class most of the time. That's my experience.
Yeah.
But specifically with ballroom dances, it's kind of weird that it is. But here again, also the experienced ones, they have their trainings clothes. They have
Yeah.
they are definitely more equipped, and you can learn from that. So typically, when people come for the first time, so every month we start a new course, and then there are new people in the classroom. I typically start to talk about these things in the second week, because maybe the first week they just don't want to know. They just trying out, and then they say, hey, if you want to be a little bit more serious about dancing, and then we start to talk a little bit about these things as well. But I think it's good to have a list, Ton. What are handy things,
Yes,
and I think,
absolutely.
I,
That will help if you have that list
yeah,
and give it to them,
yeah,
that list, and even with pictures, because a picture tells a lot. And if it is not in wording there, then it's in pictures there. And what I would also do when you are a competitive dancer or in a ballet, even they wear the same colors. If you are in a team and you have the same colors, for the trainer, it gives more rest for the eyes,
mm-hmm,
because when you are have all these different colors, you
mm-hmm,
are
mm-hmm,
yeah, you get so much information. So when you have a uniform color and a uniform uh, costume, everybody, it makes it easier for the trainer to give corrections or give advices. And the same is in ballet. This is why they have all the same color and the same costumes.
yeah,
And yes, even in China, they do it like that. They put everything on height. The smallest one, say, on the left, the biggest one on the right, or vice
vice
versa,
versa.
and all the same color. And when they go in groups, then they go in also in lines. One line, the second line, the third line, and there. And for a teacher, I was several times in China. For me, this is really perfect, because you see immediately something from your eye. Ah, okay, there goes something different than it would be, and then you can give the correction. If they have different colors, and then I would not get so quickly the information, and different clothes and on different heights in the group, it makes it more
Yeah,
yeah how you say, unorderly. And
yeah,
if you bring order in it, then it's the information comes more quickly to you. And this starts with the trainings back. So if you not have that,
yeah.
then you could improve that.
Yeah, interesting things that to talk about. And dance is, of course, see it a little bit more maybe in Latin than in the typical standard dances, waltz, quick step, and so on. But Latin dance, we like to express ourselves. But you also have to understand this is a very, if you get lessons, a very bodily experience. So if your clothes are all loose and I can hardly see where your body parts are, for me as a teacher it's a little bit harder to see all that. So if it's kind of nicely like I have right now, it's a little bit easier to do. The other side is I do understand it's all hot and sweaty and stuff like that, but if you don't like to be touched on your skin, then make sure that also you don't have clothes where you know you have touched when you've touched it. So be a little bit aware of your personal, of course, preference, what that is, but also, you know, it's if it's in practice, it's not about how you look. It's more about what is practical for you to get lessons and to teach. So that is one thing. Now, That's what I had to say about this. I think it's an interesting thing. And if you're listening to this podcast and you think, hey, but Ton, ja, you forgot this, or I like to always bring this, by all means, send it to us. We definitely don't pretend to be perfect. We just wanted to get this discussion started, that there are very practical things and necessary things that you need to have in your dance bag or trainings bag. And we just wanted to have a little practical topic for today. Anyhow, so the last thing that I see some people bring, which is always good, if they have a book like Jim, bring it to YouTube lessons, because you have a little bit moment or we talk about a topic, then you can bring that. If you want to bring other books as well, then that's a great thing too. Nowadays you can also put your books on your phone, so that's a great way to bring information too.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we covered it about all, Tom. um,
I think also, Sean,
yeah.
and speak with your teacher or
Hmm.
trainer when you are a beginner. Look which shoes you go. Ask your teacher, and then later when you dance longer, go to a shop. But try to be as an advanced dancer. Think more on the equipment, what you really want to take with you in your bag,
Hmm.
and which one would help you, and try to get independent. So, this advice I would give: be strong and go for it, even when you think, I do like I did it before. When you do it like you did it before, nothing will change. So, you will stay on the same level what you did.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. So this was another episode of Dance Jams. Thank you, Ton, for always, being here. And I say, of course, to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for being with us as well. Hope to catch you back when we do another episode of Dance Jams. Not sure what the topic will be, but you will find out when you listen to us or see us. All right. With that, I say bye bye.
Bye bye. Till next time.